today's lesson, we're going to draw a birdhouse below the eye level line. Eventually, this drawing will have birdhouses that are on the eye level line and above the eye level line. To begin, what we want to do is a horizontal line. This is our eye level line that's going to go right across our paper. Our paper is in landscape position. On each edge, we're going to include vanishing points, 2 vanishing points, thus 2-point perspective. Start with a vertical line, and from that vertical line, we're going to take the top and the bottom of that vertical line back to the vanishing point. Then we're going to do the same thing on the left side. Then we want a vertical line to make the back side of our birdhouse. We've done this on the other side already, and so we're going to clean that up. Then what I want to do is I'm going to put an X on the facade or the face of the birdhouse. And this is so I can determine where the center of this face is. I'm going to draw a vertical line right up through the center of that X. That vertical line is for the peak of our roof. This way we know where the center of the peak is. First line we make is just down to the corner, and it's going to stop. And then we're going to double this line, and it's going to stay on that vertical line, and we want to make it parallel. And we're going to move over to the right side, and we're also going to make a line from the peak, the top peak, down through the corner. Now I'm going to double these lines to give my roof thickness. If we don't double these lines, our roof will end up looking like it has playing cards for a roof, and that would not be realistic. So we double our lines. And then what I want to do is I'm going to put the back side of the roof on with a very short vertical line. I want to make sure that we put this in here. Notice the peak of the roof, these lines are parallel. I'm going to do the same thing on this side, just a short little line. Eventually both these lines will go back to the right vanishing point. I'm going to clean this up a little bit because eventually our roof's going to overlap that line, so we're going to go ahead and erase it. Okay, now we want to take the top of the roof back to the right vanishing point. Make sure your ruler is lined up with that vanishing point and draw a line back. Going to do the same thing on the bottom of the roof where the peak is, where the peak ends, and we're going to draw both those lines back. Again, this will give our roof some thickness. Now I want to clean up some of these lines, that vertical line that showed the center. It's okay if a little bit stays behind because we're also going to use that for the hole in the birdhouse as well as the perch. I was just putting the backside on that roof. I forgot to put that on there before. Now, one thing I'm doing is I'm going to line up the angle of the roof, and notice how I slide my roller. I want this to be parallel the whole way to the back side. So line that roller up and then slide it back. Now what I'm doing here is I want to put in the bird hole. So I'm drawing an oval shape, and we're going to freehand draw this. This is the entrance hole for our bird. And then we put a backside on that too to show that the wall of the face of the birdhouse has thickness. And now we're going to put a perch on. A little small curvy line, and then 2 lines coming from that actually break away from the vanishing point. And then we finish it up with a little tiny oval. And our perch is complete. Going to do a little cleaning up. A little freehand just to touch everything up. I have this eraser too that's kind of like a pen. It really does a nice job. If you want to pick one up, they're only a couple bucks and they do a real nice job. Now what I want to do is where the siding is, there's actually, if you look at your house, you'll see that your house has these channels on the corner where the siding actually goes under. Make sure you put these little channels on here. It'll give your house a real professional look. I want to do the same thing on the back side. Very good. Now we're ready to start putting our siding on. Now I line up my lines with the vanishing point, but one thing I noticed is I want to make sure my spacing is correct. So I'm going to go down by this channel and I'm going to put tiny dots, and what these dots will do is they'll tell me that everything's spaced out evenly for when I draw my lines back to the vanishing point. So I'm going to go ahead and start this process. Make sure you are lined up with the vanishing point. It's very easy to get this off the vanishing point, and then everything will look askew and out of perspective. I'm going to speed this process up a little bit. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing on the other side, and again I want to mark these lines off. I'm just putting little dots there so I know how far away to put my siding. You can see I've probably made this about 1/16 of an inch apart, but you can eyeball it. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I want to make sure that my ruler is lined up with the vanishing point and each one of these dots I made. Okay, and here we go. I'm going to line up my ruler with the dot at the very top, and make sure that you don't go into the peak of your roof. So this is going to be a real short line, and as we go down they're going to keep getting longer. Just going to work my way down. Make sure your pencil's sharp for this too. Little details like this can really make your drawing look really good. Going to speed it up here a little bit. Okay, and that completes the siding on the other side. Now what I want to do is the shingles, and this can be a pretty long process. One thing that I would tell you guys is that with this procedure, if done correctly, will really make the birdhouse look good, and it is not required. It is extra credit. Once I have all the dots in, I'm going to take my ruler and put it on the vanishing point and mark each one of these dots, and I'm going to work my way down just like I did with the siding. Going to continue the whole way down. Again, make sure that you're lined up with the vanishing point and each one of the little dots that you made so your spacing is even. Again, keep a nice sharp pencil as you're working down the roof. Also notice that inside the roof there, I left those areas blank without any lines going through. I'll speed the process up here a little bit. And now what I want to do is the shingles, and what I've done is I've lined up my ruler with the angle of the roof, and then what I do is I make a small little line in between every other line that I made previously. And I'll show you what I mean as soon as I'm done with this. Again, it's every other line. It's just a real short, tiny line. It does take some time. It is a time-consuming process, but it really does look good once you're done. As you can see, every other line got a real short line, and these are for the shingles. Again, guys, this is for extra credit. If you want to do it, you can. It really does make it look good when it's done, but it does take some time to do. Then you want to slide that ruler, keeping it parallel with the angle of the roof, and mark off every other line. Okay, going to speed this process up a little bit. As you can see, it does take some time, but boy does it look good when it's done. Now, one thing that you want to check as you're working your way back is that you're keeping the angle pretty consistent, because as you get near the front, your angle might change. So occasionally pull your ruler away so you can see what you've done. Okay, all done with the shingles. Now what I want to do is just a little bit of cleanup and a little bit of shading. I put my post on, and initially when I put the post on, I had it too far back and it almost looked like the birdhouse was going to tip over. So I corrected that and I put the post a little bit more towards the left so it's a little bit more towards the center. Now I want to do a little bit of shading, and when you do this shading, all the work that you've done with the siding, you don't want to mess that up, so begin very, very light shading. And think about how the light is hitting this roof. The shadow is going to be on the underside of that roof. It's also going to be on the other side of the shingles. Clean those up pretty good. Also, in the siding, you want to shade that as well as the hole. And there you have it. That is your birdhouse in 2-point perspective with shading. Have fun with it, guys. Enjoy.